I mean, you could breathe, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's like 5 times harder breathing and delivering. Honestly, it looks like a lot of rock and roll, man. It looks like sex, love, partying, you know, crying. It felt classic for sure out the gate. It felt very intentional in terms of the lyricism. Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Mario, and you are watching Billboard News.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? I am Billboard Deputy Director of R&B Hip Hop, Mr. Carl Lamar. Got an R&B star, R&B legend.
Let's go.
Grammy nominated.
Let's go.
In case you didn't know. Mr. Mario, how you feeling, my brother?
What's up, my boy? You good?
I'm good. You here, so it's even better.
Hold up. Mario.
Woo!
I got it. You feel me? That's my, I had to
You know what's crazy?
tap in. Warm the voice up.
I don't even think you remember this. You came to Power Players.
Yeah.
And we were chilling backstage. And we were all just happened to be sitting there, and I just happened to belt out a little Mario. Like, what this nigga doing?
That's like the Batman call, man. That's like the Batman, like, you feel me?
Do you normally get that publicly? Like fans just come up to you and
now, because I've been doing it more, just like, you know, since the last couple of years that I've been tapping back in.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, you're officially tapped back in because you got a new album. Glad you came.
Absolutely.
Your first album in 6 years, man.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the stories you were able to tell on this album that fans have never heard from you before.
Absolutely. I mean, we can start with Space.
She got the top score inside this party. Can't say I won't tell nobody. Say hey.
You know, which was the warm-up single that I put out for the album. Space is a retro-futuristic vibe produced by my boy Benny X, written by me and James Fauntleroy. This is an ode to the music that I grew up listening to. My grandfather, who used to play jazz and drink liquor, and you know, make me come over as a kid and just listen to jazz music. And then you go to records like Glad You Came. I think the conversation in that record is more about the woman and putting her first and inviting her into a space where she can feel comfortable and feel herself. I think it's the same energy and intention of me on Just a Friend, but just a way higher and more mature version of it, right?
Listening to the album, I got an evolved version of you.
Yeah.
The mature version of you.
Man.
And you know, James, big homie James, if you didn't know, his songwriting credits is nasty.
Of course, he executive produced
the album, man. Talk about what he was able to lend you from a songwriting perspective and shaping the vision you wanted for Glad You Came.
Honestly, man, James just I really absorbed how he takes his time to process the music and process the storytelling, not rushing the storytelling. I like to work like that too, where I like to get my melodies down first, lock in melodies. You might have a word here and there, but there's really locking melodies and intention behind it, and then just be free in the thought process of it. So I think just that process, and also just living in it from a standpoint, is this something that we like? Would we like this if we heard it? You know what I'm saying? And would we appreciate this texture, this conversation, this approach? That's kind of like what we would often, you know, think about. But James is he might be sitting listening to something for like 45 minutes, an hour, and he just go in the studio and just do something crazy.
I'm glad you gave like a proper breakdown of Space, because I remember when it first came out, the fans were like, yo, this record it's a little Lucky Day coded.
Yeah.
In actuality, there was a whole story behind it. So when you first saw those reactions,
I think people he's been putting out more of the super musical melodies and textures, but people forget, you know, you gotta go back to my first album and listen to records like Braid My Hair, you know, where before I even say anything, you got harps and strings. And like I've always been super musical. It's just that you gotta go listen to my first independent album, Dancing Shadows. Musically, I was there already, you know. People compare music, especially in genres and that they're familiar with, you know? And it's okay. Lucky Day's a great artist, you know, but I'm Mario, and it's a different texture. But
there we go. Turning Point, Turner 20, of course. You know, big records. Let Me Love You, #1.
You should let me love you. Let me be the one to give you everything you want and need.
How could you? Not to sound, you know, a little redundant, but where did you notice the turning point in your career that ultimately helped you become that star?
Working with Scott Storch and really like making that the round of sessions that made Turning Point, the types of people I was working with, the producers I was working with. And I think choosing to try new things that were uncomfortable for me. You know, when you're in the studio and you're in with different writers, sometimes you're making pop R&B records, sometimes you're making contemporary R&B records, sometimes, you know, my first album was just R&B, you know. This album was a little more, you know, expanded in terms of trying new things and a more, you know, a sound that was a little bit more pop leaning, more simple, less backgrounds, more direct, you know, simple vocals, simple conversations, you know, and it was more mature in terms of the intention behind the album. And I think that's what like got me out of that comfort zone that I didn't know that would initially turn into hit records. And this new, the sophomore jinx is over now, you know? So being uncomfortable and doing things that I wouldn't normally do vocally or song-wise is what made people or introduced people to the versatility that is Mario.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a blessing, you know, having that. So you listen to Turning Point, you listen to my first album, you see that shift creatively, sonically, you know, production-wise, to show a very definite shift in where we're going, you know, with the project and with my brand.
I think it's interesting, man, because like I read an interview that Neo did this year regarding the anniversary for Let Me Love You.
Yeah.
And he was saying initially, he didn't know that you were ready for that type of record because you were so young.
Yeah.
How did you go into the studio with the mindset of, I'm gonna own this record and make it mine?
You know, I think him coming in as a writer and, you know, not knowing me personally and just like hearing my voice and all that. Of course, writing that type of record is like, okay, this should be for somebody more mature. But I think that with music and with the fact that I was already so soulful at a young age, it changed all of that narrative. So for me, I never thought about age or what the record meant or the fact that I never even said "Let Me Love You" to a girl before. It was more about how my voice sounded on the record and how I delivered it. So for me, I always go into the studio and I deliver it at my best. It was different, you know? It felt classic for sure, out the gate. It felt very intentional in terms of the lyricism. Neo writes very intentional, you know, and I think in that era of his writing, we got some of the best records that we had ever heard in R&B pop, or just R&B in general. Yeah, it was a great time to even kick that sound off.
Y'all boys hitting the road with Miss MJB next year, and you were talking about for this album, Glad You Came, you're already mentally preparing for the tour. What did that look like so far? Give us a little glimpse.
I mean, honestly, it looks like a lot of rock and roll, man. It looks like sex, love, partying, you know, crying, you know, like everything that you would want to feel at a show, all of the human emotions is gonna be on stage that night. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be beautiful, man. For me, it's about taking Glad You Came, this moment, and translating it on, like making it as much a part of my show as possible, but also giving the fans those classic moments that they want.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's gotta be all of it, and I gotta do it in whatever time I get on stage.
Yeah.
You know? So that's always the difficult part, is deciding what songs, but the exciting part is the journey and like reintroducing myself as a performer to the fans and to those who are fans of the other artists, and bringing it all together, you know, telling a story.
You said something that was interesting in terms of like the reintroduction aspect, and I know like you got brought out for Nicki, Drake had brought you out this year. Like, talk about that experience, that feeling of being reintroduced to maybe fans who were too young to experience you or just wasn't familiar at all.
That just heard the music, didn't know the face.
Right.
I just focus on being present, you know what I'm saying? Like me and Nicki, we talked about going, you know, doing more music and stuff. So, you know, it was just like a confirmation that, like, you know, at some point we should, you know what I mean, tap back in.
Absolutely.
And do something special. But more than anything, it just reminds you to just shoot for making classics.
Yeah.
Classics always, you know, cut through whatever's going on in the world and whatever's going on in music. Making classics, man, in her show and what she does in music clearly is like, it's not a lot of artists that can go out there and sell out arenas, right? After just, you know, having so many other artists come out and do what they do, but you still standing on top in your own way. I feel like that as in the R&B world, you know, where it's like, I feel like I get better and better with time, you know, in my approach to it and how serious I take it in the studio. Like I feel like it's my first album again.
I love that.
I tell myself that. That's honest. Like I really feel like Glad You Came is a reintroduction, but it's also like just a part of the train. It's not disconnected from it.
I always thought it was funny. I don't know if Kat ever brought it up to you in an interview. I know I was going to be that guy.
What's that?
Man, shout out to Usher Raymond first and foremost. He had Just a Friend. He did the reference.
Yeah. Hey, you say you heard the reference?
I heard the reference.
Yeah.
Love you, Usher. You bodied
Thank you, bro.
the track for what it is today.
Oh, baby, you got what I need. But you say I'm just a
How did the record fall in your lap?
Honestly, it was just a part of the A&R process at the time, right? But then when I went to LA to work with Warren Cameron and Harold Lilly, they played me a couple records.
Yeah.
And then they played that record as well. We was gonna cut that regardless. But just that whole moment was like, yo, these are the guys that's gonna help me illustrate who I am to the world for the first time. When I first heard Just a Friend, I was like, yo, it made me feel like I was still in Baltimore. Like I remember being on the bus stop singing to the girl, but I was singing Music Soul Child, Just Friends.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, this is my version of Just Friends. And then I didn't find out till later that Usher had the record, but before, but I knew that's what the feeling I got from. Like, okay, this gonna be my version of that. So yeah, we did the record, and then I left town to go do promo or something. Then we came to New York. We did Bring My Hair at Quad Studios right here in New York.
Right here, yeah.
Came to the studio, hair half out, half in. But I was frustrated because the girl who usually braid my hair lives in Baltimore. And so I'm like, bro, like I didn't want to work. I didn't want to record at all.
Yeah.
So in the studio, the track to braid my hair playing. He's like, man, what's wrong? I'm like, man, I want to go home and let my girl braid my hair, bro. This is crazy. Like I gotta be out here like this. He's like, man, we're in New York, like plenty of girls braid. So I go in the lounge room. I come back in and he got half of the song written already.
Wow.
So when you hear that, like you hear
That's
it, it's like
genius.
that's Harold. It's Harold, man. He's different
That's genius.
for sure.
Another record, which it's weird because like when you look at the album credits in terms of like the features, you were like not there, but when you hear the song, bodied it. Talking about Nas.
Oh yeah. Oh, wow,
On King's
yeah.
Disease, yeah. Talk about being on the Serious record. How did that even come about?
A serious situation we all go through. We all go through.
I was in the studio meeting with Hit Boy, but he been in a session with Nas already. He was like, yo, my session running over. And then a homie Double was like, yo, just come in here, just vibe. Walked in the room, and they was in there just playing records, talking about music. And, you know, dapped up Nas, whatever, the GOAT. He like, yo, pull up that one joint, they had a joint playing. He was like, yo, turn it up. Like, yo, you might as well just hop on it. Like, just like that. It just happened because I happened to be coming to the studio. And so I was like, man, say less, bro.
Yeah.
Just press record. I went in the studio and just freestyle.
That was extra. You added, elevated the soul of that record.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, no, 1,000%.
That's timeless, you know. It's just one of those like God moments.
Yeah.
That you can't even plan that. It's just, this is all God. You know?
I love that.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, man, Dancing with the Stars. Did your thing, bodied it. How did that time help you become a better performer?
I don't know that it helped me become a better performer. It's such a different world. Like it's just like culturing yourself, like getting more culture.
Yeah.
You know, doing these different dances and stuff. I think it helped me just work better under pressure. Dancing with the Stars was a lot. I was touring at the same time, so my partner was traveling with me. Sometimes we only had 3 days to rehearse or 2 days to rehearse. That whole process helped me a lot to just mentally become stronger. The more stress you under, and like you still delivering under it, is like it just makes you better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
love
say that. Obviously, I wasn't singing on it, which would have been cool. Probably today, if I was on it, they would be like, yeah, they might let you do something, you know, to make it cool, right? Just like that pressure and just like being able to learn things quick.
I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, you were singing on a new show. I heard it's safe to talk about it.
Yeah.
Masked Singer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about it, brother. We got the green light, right? So we can finally up the cat out the bag that somebody was the wasp.
Yeah, man.
Don't you know that?
Talk about that experience and how that
I'm
was.
just waiting for them to send me my costume. You know, like I feel connected to this guy, man. It's like,
Are you gonna hang it up in the crib?
yeah,
Or
like no, I'm gonna put it up. So you walk in and you're gonna sit in the living room on the side. I got a lot of plants and stuff. So
Yeah.
it makes all the sense in the world. You can just send it. Just who else gonna be the wasp? No one else is gonna be the Wasp but me.
That's an amen to that. Amen to that, bro.
Nah, man, it was such a good. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. And speaking of being like challenged, being, you know, so many great things came out of that for me personally. You know, I have a wild imagination, so just using my imagination to imagine how the Wasp would move, you know, even if I was just standing still, if you recognize, like, just really creating this character was really fun. I just enjoyed challenging myself singing different songs like Aretha Franklin and all these different. It was fun. It was a lot. And then obviously like Boyz II Men, right? Those are my guys. I grew up like, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Type energy. So yeah, it was crazy. It was great.
In terms of like, we were just talking about like preparation, like, are there any similarities between, I mean, I can't imagine wearing a Wasp outfit and then with Dancing with the Stars. Like,
I rehearsed in my mask the whole time because, I mean, you could breathe obviously, but it's like 5 times harder breathing and delivering. And even if you listen and go back and watch my performances, you hear a little bit of the muffledness of the but that's what made it real. Yeah. Right? And it's like, once the costume is done, you got to commit to it. Yeah. So I was committed, and it was just becoming one with it. Every time I would go to work and put it on, it just, I became one with it, and I felt like I was in my own world, bro. Even with people screaming and the cameras on and the lights, and you feel like you're in your own fantasy world. It's like, it's kind of interesting, man. I didn't expect it to be as fun, and I didn't expect it to be as challenging at the same time, you know, because you're taking direction from stage managers, from, you got to step a certain way, you got to make sure you can see where you're going. And I was doing choreography, so again, it goes back to like being a new artist again. Like all those things make you great, you know, make you better.
I know the cardio game's on like 100 right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotta be on 100. You gonna bring the Wasp out on the tour? You know, the costume.
Man, like I said, if they let me get the costume, I might. The Wasp might come out with his own album. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. He might. The Wasp might have a whole other lane of music that he does. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't mad at that, brother. Lastly, before I let you go, man, with over 20 to damn near, you about to 25 years of, you know, experience in the music industry. Yeah. What are you hoping to accomplish or perfect that you haven't done so far in your career?
Honestly, just hiring the right people. Like behind the scenes, you know, as I build the music side, I got a movie out called Stop Me for Christmas right now. On BET Plus. Just wanted to expand all of these different areas of who I am as a entrepreneur, right? Building the right team, you know, learning how to hire the right people to help you along the journey. And also just timing, perfecting timing. If that's such a thing, right? Because sometimes things happen on God's time and you can't control it. But, you know, really when it's time to deliver, just perfecting, you know, those things and having everything come full circle, man. Keeping the story connected, you know, just having everything, you know, learning what parts of the year to take away from music to give to film, you know, to get these other things, because you have to. You know, I was at F1 and then I had an audition. So I had to choose between doing this F1 show and being on time or going to this audition. And it was just like, trying to balance both worlds out, right? So yeah, just putting the time into play, connecting with my fans, learning new ways to tell my story. Yeah, man, all these things. Yeah.
And I think you're definitely in the right trajectory. If you guys don't believe me, check out Glad You Came.
Yes, Glad You Came. It's
Mario
yours.
Back outside.
It is yours. Thank y'all so much for downloading, streaming, sharing. I can't wait to see you on the road for my fans tour. Get your tickets right now. Meet and greets will be available soon. Thank you, Billboard, for having me.
So are you ready for Beat the Buzzer?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so in this game, you'll have 60 seconds to answer the questions in rapid fire style.
All right, bet.
Your goal is to answer the most questions in 60 seconds. Let's start the timer.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let Me Love You or How Do I Breathe?
Let Me Love You.
Acting or singing?
Singing.
90s or 2000s?
2000s.
Baltimore or New York?
90s. Baltimore.
Going out or staying in?
Staying in.
Past or present?
Present.
Acting in movies or TV shows?
Movies.
TikTok or Instagram?
TikTok.
Solo tour or festival performance?
Solo tour.
An iced out chain or iced out watch?
Iced out watch.
Step Up or Empire?
Empire.
Drums or flats?
Step Up, sorry.
Okay.
Say it again.
Drums or flats?
Drums or flats?
Flats.
Drums.
My man. Arm day or leg day?
Today leg day.
Beard or mustache?
Beard.
Gold or platinum?
Gold.
Beard or liquor?
Liquor.
Dressed up or dressed down?
Dressed up.
In the booth or on stage?
On stage.
Pre-game or after party?
Pre-game.
Sweet or spicy?
Sweet.
Choreo or freestyle?
Choreo.
Hits or deep cuts?
Deep cuts.
Mario or DNA?
DNA.
We got one more.
Fire. Fire.
Okay.
Fire.
For fun? Okay. Dancing with the Stars or Max Singer?
Matt Singer.
Here we go.
Let's go. So I almost did them all.
Hey!
Because he was reading them slow, man. I was ready. He was going slow.
I did stumble on a few. I ain't gonna hold you. I did stumble on a few.